Welcome, 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 welcome to another very interesting session of our summit. And if you are just joining us, you're welcome to the Nigerian Scholars in Germany Annual Summit 2020. I don't know how you guys are feeling, but if you're feeling exactly how I'm feeling, I have been having a good time. We've had like a couple of interesting sessions so far, and I mean, we cannot deny the fact that it's been over 5 hours. And I know some of you guys are exhausted, but this session promises to be a very interesting one. And I don't know what part of the world we are tuning in from. I've made to understand that we have a couple of viewers on streaming live on our YouTube, and we also have a number of participants on here with us. But if you're like me and you are watching or streaming from NiSIG Munich, if you're streaming from Munich, from Munich, Germany, you can, the weather here is pretty chill today. So you can grab yourself a cup of tea like I have with me here, or just a chill cup of water. Let's get to the point here. Guys, Nigeria is 60 years old. 60 is a long way to have come. I remember when Nigeria was 50. That was like 10 years ago. I remember where I was. I just graduated secondary school. I know you guys are thinking, how old is this lady? But I promise I'm not as old as I look, guys. But just looking back on how far I've come 10 years ago and right now, I've made a lot of changes in my life, professionally, privately, every aspect. We've really come a long way because 10 years is a very long time. But unfortunately, I hope I'm wrong. I stand to be corrected. That does not really count. That does not really apply to Nigeria, unfortunately. But that is a topic for another day. And guys, I just want to put it out there, right? If I do say so myself, I am a stellar Nigeria. If you had just met me and you're trying to explain me to maybe somebody else, like that I'm talking about, maybe a non-Nigeria just met me, and you're trying to talk to me about me in third person to somebody else, you will say, do you remember that Nigerian lady? Right? You won't say, do you remember that tall, beautiful lady? If I do say so myself, guys. So I just want to say this really boils down to the fact that I think I'm a very, I don't know, I think I'm a proud, my volume seems to be low. I don't know. Just a moment, guys. We are going to. So, as I was saying, I was trying to say like this just all boils down to the fact that I'm a very proud Nigerian. I'm a very proud Nigerian citizen. So this brings us to the part where I introduce myself. I am Zainab Lawal. I am based here in Munich, Germany, and I am a pharmacist here in Germany. And if I'm not busy pharmacisting, I coordinate the activities of the Nigerian Scholars in Germany Munich chapter. So I'm really happy to be here, really happy to be moderating this session of our summit. And I hope we are going to have some time. And I hope you've gotten your cup of tea and your cup of water. We have with me or with us here a very interesting mix of panelists. Yeah, we have, I'm just going to let them introduce themselves very shortly. But first of all, on our panelists today, we have Mrs. Michelle Olufeso. She is the founder and CEO of MIO Consults GmbH. And we also have Mr. Austin Obina Ejiofor, sorry for that. And he is the Nigeria Coordinator, Program Migration and Diaspora in the Center of Immigration and Center for International Migration and Development. And third but not the least, we have Honorable Kenneth Bandi with us today. He is the President, Nigeria Diaspora Organization in Europe. Welcome, 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 guys. And first of all, to jump straight right into it, I'm going to let you introduce yourself, give us a quick summary of who you are and what your organization is about. I'm going to start with Mrs. Michelle Olufesa. Welcome, please.
Yeah, good afternoon, and thanks, Zainab, for the introduction. My name is Michelle Olufeso. I am a chartered accountant by profession. I have been in corporate for quite a while, and then I decided to go solo into philanthropic type work. So principally worked in industry. Now I look at solving some of the problems we have in Nigeria. I guess that's probably why I'm probably having this discussion right now. So I hope to be able to contribute to having us make a change and a difference in the Nigerian society. And thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here with us. And Mr. Austin Obinna is a Geofor. Sorry, I forgot. I didn't pronounce it properly before, but I think I have it properly now. You're welcome. Thank you for blessing us, or we have the privilege of having you in our midst today. And please just give us a quick introduction and what you are and who you are, what you do.
All right. Good day, everyone. Thanks a lot for having me. As introduced, I'm Austin Obinna Ezejiofo. I'm currently leading a small team here in Nigeria, in Abuja precisely, a small team of the program Migration and Diaspora, which is implemented under the auspices of the Center for International Migration and Development, CIM, which I think some of you are very familiar with. CIM, just for clarification, it's actually a joint implementation by the GIZ, or GIZ, which is the Deutsche Gesellschaft für internationale Zusammenarbeit, together with the Bundesagentur für Arbeit. So these two German agencies are implementing the SIM, the CIM program, which I am like leading here in Nigeria. I've been always a member of NISIG because I also lived and studied in Germany, first master's in peace conflict studies in Magdeburg, and then PhD in political science at the University of Bremen before I returned to Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you for being here with us now, Miss. You're welcome, Honorable Bandi. We see that you are here in our midst. Can you please give us a quick introduction about who you are and what you do?
Well, thank you for having me. I hope you don't mind that my camera is covered for a while because actually I'm actually working. I'm taking a train to Dortmund any minute from now, where else I'm having another event, but I will try as much as possible to, to be with you. Just apology in advance. Yes, Kenneth Bandi is my name. I am the chairperson of Nigerian Diaspora Organization Europe, for the continent of Europe. I had my master's in peace and security from the University of Hamburg. Before then, I did a geography and regional planning from the University of Calabar. I've been in Germany for roughly about 25 years now. And then within this time, I managed to establish the first Afro entertainment magazine in Germany called African Heritage, and follow it up with a radio and TV segment, which is still in existence. In between, I was the African representative in Hamburg Senate Integration Beirat for 3 years, where we drew up the concept for immigration integration concept for the state of Hamburg. And since then, I've been twice elected as the chairman of NIDO Europe, and I'm actually my last week as the NIDO chair Europe. I will stop at that for now, and I hope I was able to do justice to that.
Yes, that is a very interesting portfolio, Honorable Bandi. Thank you for being here with us now, Miss. So let's jump right into it, right? We have Nigerians in the diaspora, right? what do we think on a general, on an overall assessment? What do you think of Nigeria at 60 in terms of socio-economic development? This question is directed at everybody, so I'm going to start with Mrs. Michelle, please.
Okay, for me, I think before we start talking about Nigerians in the diaspora and how they solve the social economic situation that we have in Nigeria, I think we first have to look in on ourselves as a start. I think just based on some of the discussions we've had today and some of the feedback that we saw in the chat, I think we first have to start with, you know, self-respect and respect for the other individual who's also a Nigerian. I think you can't start solving the problems of Nigeria as a whole unless and until you start solving the problems at a one person at a time level. So for me, I think first we have to respect who we are as individuals and who we are as Nigerians. I mean, every time I see people move forward in society, most of the things we celebrate typically look at what's coming out from overseas. We don't typically celebrate what's in-house. So I think first and foremost, we have to honor what we have on the ground. Nigeria is only 60 years old. That's in line with most of other societies. It's quite young. It's quite a young country. But then when you look at what nations like Ghana have achieved, we do need to take a look at ourselves and figure out how do we work collectively as a community rather than trying to solve problems individually. So that's my initial feedback for now, and I'll let any of the other panelists add to that.
Absolutely, very interesting. I totally agree with you, Michelle. And what do you think about that, Mr. Austin Obina?
Yeah, thank you, Zainab, for that first question. I actually have mixed feelings as to how to respond to this topic for today. Partly because I am generally optimistic, like as a person, but then I live in Nigeria and I am facing the realities here. And apart from what is out there on the news, which everyone assesses from any part of the world, which I am also sure that those of you living in Germany are very much abreast of the developments in Nigeria. As someone living here and observing things, seeing how people, you know, live in Nigeria, the kind of pain and suffering people are going through, I really feel very uncomfortable, you know, with the situation, because with respect to your question, how far have we gone regarding socioeconomic development? It's a far cry, to say the least. Not much is going on in this regard. I am working for an organization which devotes and concentrates on promoting sustainable development goals. For example, we go about the country from time to time. We talk to stakeholders. We talk to sometimes to government practitioners and stuff. It's really a very long way to go. And this is just like being careful with words. So I think it's a long way, a very long way to go. And I am convinced that gradually we can change this trend, especially considering the fact that we are discussing today how those of you in the diaspora can contribute to promoting socioeconomic development. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Austin. I think I totally agree with you. It's really a far cry for us, unfortunately, in Nigeria. What do you think about that, Ms. Honorable Bandi?
Well, I think I will agree with my last two speakers. We are not where we have to be. There are still a lot of things to do. And yeah, from diaspora perspective, I have a mixed feeling also, like my very good friend Austin, already mentioned. But let me take this opportunity first to to congratulate the Nigerian scholars in Germany for putting up such a very wonderful event. And thank you, moderator, for real, I think the professional way I've been following up the summit till now. Austin is one of the diaspora that I've come across with, that's been doing a great job regard to the diaspora. And so I always have a very mixed feeling if I want to say that we are not doing what we should be doing, because I think that some of us, like Austin, has been greatly doing exactly what we ought to do. And if we want to look at it, let me just take it differently from another perspective. And so probably that will basically do justice to what we need to. If you look at the diaspora remittances within the last couple of years, 2015 till 2017, for example, you discover that the remittances of the diaspora totaling this time period far outstripped the oil revenue in Nigeria, which is the mainstay of the economy of Nigeria. And then the total of 20 billion US dollar remittances is less than, or it's more than the 19 billion plus, which was the earnings from the Nigerian affairs. And the experts actually summarized or agreed that without the input of the diaspora, the Nigerian economy would have actually gone dead, one could say. So taking it from that perspective, we as diaspora, because that's actually the major theme of this event, what is the contribution of the diaspora? We in the diaspora have done our bit. We have done the best we could. Again, part of my double or the guilty conscience is that majority of these diasporans who are doing extremely fantastic in their respective countries where they are living outside the shore of this country are doing exceedingly very, very well. And probably these are the individuals that we would have actually expected to be in Nigeria and join hands to contribute to the development of the country. So yes, I agree that we are not where we are. A lot of things need to be done. But I think we are doing the best we can as a nation. I'll leave it at that for now.
Thank you, Honorable. So, generally, we are not where we are be at the moment, but you think we are actually gradually getting there. Is that what you're trying to say, sir?
Yes, that's my conclusion.
Okay, interesting. So I'll continue with you right now. Can you maybe elaborate more on what you think the roles of the Nigerians in diaspora is contributing to the socio-economic of Nigeria? What do you think we in the diaspora do?
Is that question for me?
Yes, please. What do you think the roles of Nigerians in the diaspora is in the socio-economic development of Nigeria?
If you look at the statistics of the Nigerians in the diaspora, we have an average of 22 million Nigerians in diaspora. And the International Center for Migration, in one of their project paper in 2015, agreed that the diaspora are the first mover. What they mean by that is that why we lay so much emphasis, because probably that's one of the things at hand that we can actually put our hand in. Why we lay emphasis on the remittances of Nigerians in diaspora, which are stripped oil. Of course, we're very proud of that. But we realize that also statistics also show that the families of the family members or the Nigerians in Nigeria who have relatives in the diaspora, they are doing their standard of living is quite relatively better than their non or their fellow Nigerians that don't have people in diaspora. So it means that the money we are sending home, apart from the general bubbling of the economy, so to say, they also help households in paying of the bills, in paying of their university fees and their schools and the rest of them. So but while we are actually laying emphasis on that, which is actually good, the most important diaspora capital is knowledge, human capital.
Mm-hmm.
And we have, we've learned the best ways of doing things in the areas of science, in the scholarship, in the scholarly department, so to say, or in the business department. We learn the very first best practice, so to say, in the world, and we are expected to bring, those skills and know-how back to Nigeria. In fact, one of the major focus of GIZ and CIM is actually how can the diasporan, contribute with their knowledge gain to Nigeria in terms of development. And we have had medical missions to Nigeria. We have had, programs that had to do with, youth empowerment, how to help the Nigerian youth set up, startups and so on and so forth. So if you look at all this combined, I think the human capital is one of the potent weapon of the Nigerians in diaspora, where we can, engage our counterparts in Nigeria and exchange ideas for best international practice. And like we know, in most of these developed countries, science, leads the world, knowledge leads the world. So I think in the area of human capital, we could, kind of from the brain drain to the brain gain, what we have actually learned in the diaspora, and make sure that we contribute or we bring it to bear in our respective countries, especially in Nigeria. And I think these are the areas I think we could be able to impart our knowledge from the diaspora in Nigeria.
Thank you so much. That was very interesting. Michelle, do you have something to add to that?
Yeah, I do. I think the remittances that come out from the diaspora back into Nigeria are all well and good, and they are helpful. We know that they increase the living standards of people on the ground. What I would actually like to see is having investments flow from the diaspora into society that is able to make a change, to live, not just for living standards, but, if you take a horse to water, you have to keep taking it back there to go feed or to go drink. We need to create a situation where people are able to create something that sustains themselves. I think putting the pressure, I've been in Germany maybe 2 years now, having moved from Switzerland. And what I see of the quote unquote Black community in Germany is very different from what I see in Switzerland. I don't necessarily see a sense of togetherness in Germany. I don't necessarily see a sense of, be my brother's keeper. So that sense of community, I think, maybe I'm out in a different class of society, but I don't necessarily see a sense of community where one person is saying, okay, if this person is in dire straits, we stand together. So I think it's all well and good that people that have family members in the diaspora can send remittances that make a difference to their family members. I think what we really need to focus on is how do we make life better for all? So people in Germany are not necessarily living fantastic lifestyles. They're constantly working hard to support families on the ground in Nigeria. That's all well and good. But how sustainable is it? If something happens to members of the diaspora, what happens to the family in Nigeria? So my point is we need to create a situation where we are empowering people on the ground, not just to go to school, not just to feed, but be able to set up economic environments where they can start striving for themselves. In the last 20 years, say, we've kind of built a entitlement culture where people feel, I have somebody overseas that is going to send funds to me. I can sit back and do nothing and have a great lifestyle. That is not sustainable. We need to start changing the way we think. Yes, we have members in the diaspora. I, for instance, am Nigerian. I have a Nigerian surname, but most people that know me will say, well, you're a Nigerian in name only. Now, how do I I want to help Nigeria. I have skills that can help Nigeria, but I don't necessarily have the connections because I hear, like everywhere else on the planet, there are connections to have in order to, make a difference. So the question is, how do we bridge this, wall, so to speak, in order to be able to have, because I know there are many people on the ground that have many skills. We've had so many speakers that, you know, came across very professional, their content was superb, but I wonder if they have the access they need to make a difference in Nigeria.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you, Michelle. And I think that sense of community and being able to sustain it is very important. We're going to get back to that topic of talking about how we can connect with people that are willing to make a change. Because I know a lot of people that are in the diaspora, they go back home and they're in this cocoon of themselves. Yeah? So how do you get to connect with others that have that same mindset with you? I think we're going to get back to that. But next, I want to turn to Mr. Austin. Yeah. So you are the Nigeria coordinator of CIM. So I want to ask you, what do you think is the role of Nigerians that want to return back home to contribute their level of expertise in the socio-economic development of Nigeria? What does CIM for Nigerians?
Yes, thank you again, Zainab. I would like to respond first directly to Michelle. When you were talking about connection to Nigeria, to be able to utilize your skills and knowledge, I just wanted to say that CIM is your plug.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah, exactly. And someone has already written in the chat that Austin is your connection.
We're going to get back to that. We're really going to get back to it. I think that's a very interesting part of this discussion. Yeah.
Yes, exactly what it is. Anyway, it's not Austin being your connection, but CIM. We are just here as instruments to promote programs, objectives, and to get them achieved. Of course, with your support and cooperation. I would like to respond to a couple of things that have been raised already. First, on remittances. My good friend, Honorable Kenneth, already raised it. And then Michelle reiterated it as well, the issue of remittances, and underlying what I agree is very important, because the bulk of the money, I think it stood at $25 billion anyways, the last check that I had. The bulk of this money coming from remittances goes into living conditions, living standards, like people taking care of themselves and men marrying new wives, some, buying additional cars, throwing parties, all kinds of things. You live in Germany. When I was there, I was getting all kinds of requests as well from people. Even people who probably are doing much better than I was a student, than I was doing. They would paint pictures of all kinds of things and you send money to them. And they would just use the money to do, satisfy their needs and stuff like that. So CIM as a program has taken up the topic of remittances. We are still in the process of developing a blueprint for that, to be clear on how we are addressing this. What we've been doing so far at the program level is to educate people in the diaspora on different platforms for sending money that will be cheaper for them and will have more value for the money they are sending. And this information is available on a website called geldtransfer.de. Transfer as fairness, www.geldtransfer.de. So you would see different platforms to send money and check which applies to your country, and to give you the various options that you can send money at a cheaper rate, like charges and higher value and things like that. But we have realized as a program that this is not enough, just because of what Michelle had said. This money should be better channeled to avenues that could create, yes, exactly, that's the website, that could create more opportunities for the people living here in Nigeria. So like I said, the blueprint is not out, but the direction of the program, what we are thinking about doing is to concentrate a lot on financial literacy and financial education for both the people in the diaspora in Germany precisely, and then for the population in Nigeria through our program. We educate them on how to invest in startups, how to get more information on managing finances, financial engineering generally, and things like that. So this would be one way to deal with that challenge. And like Kenneth has said also, the diaspora has a lot of potentials. In our program, we say that people like you who emigrated from Nigeria to Germany to study or to work professionally, you are bridge builders because you already have the Nigerian culture in you, and you've acquired additional culture, which is the German culture. You could speak German. If you have been exposed to international standards, you are better placed to contribute to development in Nigeria because of the amount of skills and knowledge you've acquired. And it's important that you begin to think about how you can actually share this knowledge. And this is again where CIM comes in, because we have a number of components of opportunities for you to contribute to development in Nigeria. You don't necessarily have to come back home like I did. I returned after my studies, and there are others who have returned. So that is just one aspect of what we do to support those who want to return, like return for good after their studies or work experience in Germany. So we have this field of action, which is called Returning Expats component. So here we support people who want to return with job placement if they do not have a job already in Nigeria. We help out with that. Regardless of how difficult it is, we know the unemployment rate is very high. But when we approach potential employers here and tell them about our program and the support they stand to gain if they partner with us, somehow or the other, they seem to tilt towards giving it a trial. So we help out with this. For those who already have jobs in Nigeria, we assess those jobs they have to see if they have relevance for sustainable development. If they do, we take them on. They receive salary subsidies, top-up salary for 2 years, with a possibility of an extension for the 3rd year. So this is like subvention coming from the program in addition to the salaries they are receiving. The reason we do this is because, like most employers don't pay very well. It's actually a big challenge for you to leave Germany to come back to work in Nigeria, right? So definitely the economic factor will play a role, but we do this to help with professional reintegration for those of you who decide to return. But then, like I said, you don't have to return to contribute. You can stay back in Germany, do your professional work, and then contribute, not only through remittances anyways, but you can come for short-term engagements. We have this Diaspora Experts engagement platform, which enables the program to support you for a minimum of 3 weeks and a maximum of 6 months. So within this period, everything about your welfare in Nigeria is catered for by the program. You are not paid any salary. We support with placing you in a host institution in Nigeria. These host institutions are basically, they could be NGOs, they could be academic institutions, they could be government parastatals or agencies or ministries, anywhere. And we explain to them that they don't pay salaries. There is no contract between you and them. But CIM will give you a lump sum for your flights. It's quite a good amount, regardless of the pandemic situation. I think we may have to review that amount if the cost of flight has gone so high. But then you get a good lump sum for your flight, and you get daily allowances for your stay in Nigeria. I think the daily allowance is €80 per day, which is meant to cover your feeding and accommodation in Nigeria, but then some employers may have quarters where you can stay anyways, and you don't have to spend the money on accommodation anymore. Or some of you could stay in cities where you have relatives. You could stay in their homes and stuff like that, and you don't have to pay for hotel. But then you get the 80 euro per day, and you are able to share knowledge, and you do it for a short time. It could be during your leave, maybe you have 1 month leave or something. You just do it and you go back to your work. So this is just one aspect. The other aspect is the diaspora organization components of the program. I see that Michelle, for example, runs an NGO. Am I correct, Michelle? Yeah, exactly. So you see, we support organizations that are registered as eingetragene Vereine. It's, how's it called again? Registered associations.
Non-governmental agencies.
Okay, non-governmental agencies. They're registered as non-for-profit organizations, right? So that is the AFAO. NISIG, for example, you call NISIG AFAO, EV, right? So that AFAO means eingetragene Verein, that is registered association. And you are non-for-profit. We have this support that we give to organizations like this to be able to implement small scale projects in Nigeria. And these projects could touch on any of the SDGs, any of the 17 SDGs. The only challenge is that it's competitive. So you really need to sit back and develop a very good project idea. I've tried in a way to support NISIG and also AGIC, which Kenneth is running. I am very passionate about these organizations that I have come to know in person to benefit from this program. Unfortunately, NISIG has not been successful so far, but I will encourage you to keep trying. Kenneth has been trying for a very long time, and luckily this year they are on board. AGIC will be implementing a project in Nigeria. So, Michelle, perhaps this is something you can consider for next year. The call will be out probably early next year, and you can come up with a beautiful project idea, get a partner organization in Nigeria, and then we'll see how far we can go with that. So generally, these are the possibilities that I see. The other one, which we have just started in Nigeria this year, is what we call Business Ideas for Development. So this is a platform where we support those of you in the diaspora to venture into startups in Nigeria. In fact, the call for this year, Nigeria came on board for the first time this year. And the call was, I think, from May to July. It ended in July. And just early last month, we had the pitch event where we selected successful founders. And it was amazing. We had more than 40 applications from Nigeria for the first time. It just started with Nigeria this year, and despite the COVID-19 challenge, we had more than 40 applications. My colleagues in Germany who are responsible for this were really impressed. It shows there is a lot of potential. And the selection has just been completed last month. And I'm sure those who were selected will be communicated very soon. So it's really another aspect, connecting business to development. You don't have to return from Germany to do that. You can stay back comfortably in Germany, but then apply, and the program will sponsor some of your trips to Nigeria to do your exploration studies, to do market survey, and do all kinds of things. And gradually you can decide whether to return to face your business or not, or to continue to manage it from Germany and stuff like that. So perhaps there'll be more details when we continue, but let me just leave it here for now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Austin. Of course, where there's money, there's a lot of interest, right? And I'm sure this really interests a lot of people. And Austin, would you be nice enough to maybe leave some links in our chat box or in the Q&A box where we could find links to CIM and a couple of these programs you've talked about. Okay. And just to mention, you talked about educating people in that, right? Somehow I have the sentiment that some of the remittances we send back home is from probably mostly the senior citizens that are here in the diaspora. How do you think we could get younger people to be interested in wanting to contribute to the socio-economic development of Nigeria?
Yeah, well, in terms of remittances, it's part of what I mentioned earlier on. Our program, when we are done with developing the blueprints, would focus a lot on financial education. That would mean using all the possible channels we have to educate the people on how best and for what purpose most of the money they send to their countries of origin should be done, for example. And I'm sure NISIG, for instance, is one of the platforms for me. NISIG is very dear to me, so I would always run back to NISIG. I'm happy Kenneth is there. The NIDO Germany is also a very veritable platform. There are a few other platforms through which we can reach the young people, right? So the moment we start implementing this, this component on remittances, this concentration on financial literacy and financial education, of course, you will be one of the first persons to know.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah. Andy, I'm just going to direct this to you. In opinion, what do you think are some of the challenges we Nigerians in the diaspora are facing? What are the things that are preventing us from maybe integrating properly into whatever community we find ourselves? In Germany, for example.
Is that for me?
Yes, yes, please.
Well, I think there's a lot of questions I hope I will probably have time to address briefly. One is the remittances again, coming back to that again, that the remittances are for the senior citizens. That is true, no two ways about it. But we have also have a success story on the diaspora platform. The diaspora bond was floated by the federal government of Nigeria, I think 2 years ago. I think it was about how many billion? I don't have the figure, so I don't give a wrong figure. About, I think it's up to 20 billion US diaspora. Diaspora bond, I can't remember. But what is sure is that within few weeks of floating this bond, it was oversubscribed. And the bond was actually also meant for infrastructural projects and development. So it's not quite 100% correct that all the remittances are all for the senior citizens. It's also used for developmental projects. Secondly, why is the formation of NIDO? The core objective of NIDO is actually in search of homeland development, which means basically the collection of all professionals, scholars, business people in the diaspora to come together using their influence in whatever they are living, the power of partnership and advocacy, also to attract development back to Nigeria. And so I will encourage everybody who is in the diaspora, who is by default a NIDO member, to join NIDO member. It's the only Nigerian organization in the 5 continents of the world that can connect. That is the only platform we can use as diaspora, to connect to homeland. Let's take just a quick statistic. According to the available statistics from the Journalists in a Global Context, JIGC, which is an African-European project aimed at connecting journalists and journalism students in Africa and Europe, they say over 14 million Nigerians have migrated between 2019 and 2014 alone. United States can boast of 3 million, followed by United Kingdom, which is 3.4, South Africa 1.2, Canada 1 million, Malaysia 800,000, and Germany is said to have 800,000 migrated between this time frame 2009 and 2014. And so the essence of bringing all these diasporas together, you can understand that our compatriots in the UK or the ones in the US the ones in Germany, they have different cultural backgrounds in terms of where they are living. And so the only platform we have is to link up through the Nigerian Diaspora organization. As a matter of fact, I posted a few comments on Facebook this morning. 5 years ago, I addressed the Nigerian students in the Technical University in Hamburg in one of those summits when Moses was the president. The idea is that majority, okay, let me not say majority, but a sizable number of the Nigerian students are members of NIDO. And so we see the Nigerian scholars as the academic arm of NIDO, that they can transit from the scholarship into the professional field. And these are the network that probably one of our previous speakers actually mentioned that is lacking. No, we have that network. One just generally need to utilize that network. But let us be specific. Nigerian National Organization NIDO, like I just mentioned the core objective, we have secured $2.36 billion US. I'll repeat, $2.36 billion US, which is a housing project. The humanitarian fund is expected to be deployed in Nigeria into the housing sector. One, we will help to bubble the housing market where most Nigerians in diaspora can have an affordable homes when they decide to settle down in Nigeria. Two, the young Nigerians who are in Nigeria who also want to own their own houses, because in Nigeria it's only 1 or 2% of the rich people that control the housing market in Nigeria. So we want to widen up this pyramid so that we can include a lot of Nigerians in that. But the most important thing is that with this fund, we're going to create employment, especially for the startups. In Germany, we have what we call the dual academic system. Either you go through the university process or you go through the technical section. And we know that in Nigeria, we need more of these technical sections than the university graduates. I'm not saying that university graduates are bad, so to say, so don't get me wrong. But of course, with this foresight, we are able to, kind of bubble the economy and create about 5 million jobs in 10 years. And so we are basically looking not only about the remittances, but also to make sure that that the money we send to them are actually also used into infrastructural development. As NIDO, we also had a MOU or relationship with the ICPC. ICPC is one of the anti-corruption agencies in Nigeria. The fears we have had in the diaspora is that each time we have remittances to Nigeria, especially in the housing sector, after relative to help you to do one or two things, the money end up getting into. I think it was Austin that mentioned it, or one of the previous speakers. They used it to get to marry the second wife, use it to build, do other things that is not relevant to the growth of the economy. I'm not saying marrying a wife is not important, but at the end of the day, the money is not meant for the purpose of which they are using it for. With the relationship or with the MOU with the ICPC, it means that if you are investing in Nigeria from the diaspora, they do a business check for you. They make sure they certain that the investment you're making is protected. Mm-hmm. And they make sure that even when that investment are made, that the fear of the anti-corruption is the beginning of wisdom in Nigerian business world. So they are trying to make sure that once you do that investment, they are going to be there, to make sure that they follow up with that investment. What we intend to do is simply to build confidence in the system, so that people in diaspora can freely, invest in Nigeria. So I think Austin also mentioned that I will feel bold to say that we have a project that we're going to be running with NISIG in the next few months, God willing, and it's called capacity building, youth capacity building, especially in the academic world. What we are basically doing is called switch, so to say. We want to partner with the Nigerian scholars in Germany, basically by bringing also some of the headhunters from Nigeria. The idea is to open up the market space so that when we have Nigerian scholars who are graduating here, they must not necessarily need to travel down to Nigeria to get involved in the development of Nigeria. So by bringing up these headhunters, they open up all the possibilities. They do a mock interview, tell you what it takes to get into the multinational company, whether it's here in Nigeria or here in abroad, and the rest of them. So these are all the networks we've been putting together to make sure that the impact of the diaspora are felt and continue to be felt in Nigeria in terms of homeland development. And so we have a lot of initiatives that have been set up, whether on the platform of NISIG or on the platform of NIDO. And of course, we have the Nigerian community there. We have the Nigerian Lawyers Association. We have the Nigerian Accountant Association. And the associations are endless. The most important, before I round up, is that we know we have about 1,000 Nigerian different associations across the globe. And it is the major reason, the core reason why the Nigerians in diaspora fought for 20 years for the establishment of Nigerian Diaspora Commission, which is called NIGERIAN for short. The essence of NIGERIAN is that it's going to be like a parliament, a diaspora parliament, where our representations, where our brainstorming, where our ideas are put together here in the diaspora and tabled before the Federal Executive Council on our wishes and aspirations and our best practice already learned. So make sure that what we've learned are not just end up as being theory, but also to contribute to the homeland development. These are the issues we've been trying to work on. It has not been very easy, but we have got some success stories like that. So I will encourage everybody to take advantage of the Nigerian Scholars Association if you're a student, and at the same time, get involved in Nigerian Diaspora Organization, where you have all the network and all the networking you need to engage in homeland development. I will leave it for now.
Thank you so much, Landy. We're looking forward to working together with you to give our scholars more access to information, because I think the access to this information is actually the first step. Most people don't know how to go about it. Moving forward, I would like to continue with what do you think what we can use to strengthen the communities and to be able to integrate properly in whatever community they find themselves?
I don't know where is that for me, because the network is a little bit fluctuating.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't get that as well.
I didn't get the question as well.
Sorry, can you hear me well now?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay. Michelle, I was asking, what are the ways you think we could strengthen communities, maybe from the Nigerian government point of view, which could help Nigerians in the diaspora integrate properly in whatever community they find themselves?
If I like I said, it's a question for me. I understood that. I heard that now. Do you want me to take it, or you're referring to some other person?
Yeah, you can take that. But then I also want to hear what the other say about that.
Well, like I mentioned, NIDCOM is called Nigerian Diaspora Commission, and the sole aim of NIDCOM, like I mentioned that before, is to refer to that as the diaspora parliament. It's a place where every Nigerian diaspora can key into. What has happened in the past is because we have, like I mentioned, 10,000 different organizations operating independently, sometimes at cross purpose. So the idea of having this commission or the diaspora parliament is to use that as exactly like what we're doing now, to brainstorm and fashion out a policy, how the Nigerians in diaspora can be integrated, be it politically, socially, and organized, or otherwise. So I think as long as we can get that NIDCOM Act and NIDCOM Commission going, our problem or your question is actually half solved. And I stand bold to say that any diaspora, irrespective of which association you belong to, who is not working towards the successful creation of diaspora commission, is anti-democratic individual. I must say that, because we cannot expect best practice in Nigeria. We can't expect the best international practice in Nigeria. And we allow a situation where we have a one-man board in Nigeria and we close our eyes as if it's not important. I think it's not fair. And one of the things we have actually been, we have learned in this advanced world is the rule of law. And once we have the rule of law, and make sure that we use such policy instruments to move the Nigerian forward. Because we're talking today about Nigeria at 60. And if we cannot look at ourselves, our individual in the face and say, no, I think we need to do better than what we're doing now, and make sure that the rule of law is followed, then we will definitely have a problem in the long run. So I think NIDCOM, it answers your question. Once we rally around NIDCOM, the Nigerian Diaspora Commission, which is the diaspora parliament, we'll be able to fashion out some policy instruments that will effectively integrate Nigerians in diaspora into participation in Nigerian politics and economy.
Thank you, Honorable Randy. So Michelle, how?
Okay. From my perspective, it still goes back to what I started with at the very beginning. We need to have a sense of community. We need to have a situation where we say we are our brother's keeper and we stand together as one, like Honorable Bandy suggested. We can't keep having individual missions with the hope that these individual missions will work towards the common goal. I think there needs to be collaboration amongst ourselves in order to hit the milestone of solving the social economic problems of Nigeria. So first of all, when we engage with other people, we have to think about a win-win situation for both parties or all parties. What I constantly see is people putting forward their missions with a sense of benefiting for themselves and not for the greater community. So I go back to what I've always said before. When we engage in trying to solve the socio-economic problems in Nigeria, we need to think collaboration. We're not one-man bands, we're not islands. And I think you get more momentum if we begin to work as for the common good of the country, rather than pursuing our own individual missions. So my last word would be to say, let's all go for a win-win situation for all parties concerned. And this will benefit the country at the top level.
Absolutely, thank you so much. But I feel like with the current shrinking economy of Nigeria, it's really going to be very kind of difficult to execute. But I get the sentiment. Nigerians in diaspora were very optimistic, right? But somehow I also feel like there's no justifiable reason to be optimistic about the future of Nigeria. Honorable Bandi begs to differ, but I feel like we do not have, we can't be really optimistic about the future now. So the Nigerians in diaspora, we have this optimism. I know that because it's the kind of sentiment I get. But what do you think are ways in which we could maybe engage Nigeria looking to make this change we've all been clamoring for? Could you please maybe tell us how you think maybe Nigerians in the diaspora are interested in making change? How could we get to meet each other? How could we contribute to this, to them?
Were you referring to me, Zainab?
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. You know, I don't live in Germany, right?
Yeah,
Anyway,
I think that's
it's okay.
more interesting because I feel like Nigerians in the diaspora, we are maybe very far away from the reality in Nigeria, right? But the reality is that must come very often, and we want to kind of like. So, what are maybe places in which we could contribute, get to meet more people that have like interests?
What I actually have in mind, first was to respond to the previous discussion that was going on, but then I could touch upon that later on. Now, addressing your question, I am also not very optimistic about Nigeria. I know I started by saying that I'm a very optimistic person. That's on a general note. But then living in Nigeria and experiencing the Nigerian reality, I am not very optimistic. I have this view that this country, Nigeria, in 500 years' time would not be like Germany, for example. It's my view, and I developed this view from what I observe because nothing really gets that better. Ken talked about rule of law as one of the prime qualities that are promoted in a country like Germany, but that rule of law is missing almost completely in the Nigerian setting, where government functionaries, people that are elected into offices, do not have the slightest respect for rule of law. And anything just goes. Anything can happen to anybody. Everybody is scared. Nobody is comfortable to say anything, to criticize the government. And so how do we expect development as such? When people are gagged up, you can't even organize a peaceful protest in this country. I mean, is that horrible? So my personal philosophy is first to concentrate on yourself, I try to do this. I concentrate on my self-development and try to provide for myself those things that the government cannot provide for me. Be in a good place to contribute to change. And the change I'm talking about is not necessarily changing the Nigerian society or the Nigerian system. My dear, no one can change this country. But I will go by the slogan of CIM, which is, one person can make a difference. This difference could be a very small contribution. It could be like affecting your neighbor, or even your children, or your siblings, your friends. This kind of, people within your sphere of influence or contacts. These are the kind of change, or this is the kind of change that I'm talking about. Making a difference at your workplace. If you're participating in the CIM program, this slogan will be drummed into your ears very well, so that you know that wherever you find yourself, in your workplace, in a host institution where you are doing your work, the focus will be like, try to change something. When I returned from Germany, I wasn't part of the CIM program, but I was interested in making a difference. I was a university teacher. I went back to the university, and there were things I introduced. I was responsible to teach some courses. And in these courses, I was the chairman, so to say, right? So no other person could tell me what to do. And that was my sphere of influence. I made sure that I taught those courses properly, bringing in some of the skills and knowledge I acquired in Germany. I made sure I established some kind of standards. I made sure that students will not cheat in exams, for example, or come back later to do what they call sorting, like pay money or offer sex or whatever it is called for marks and stuff like that. These are the kind of things that an individual could do. But I wasn't going to change the whole university system because I knew that wasn't possible. So this is the mindset that I will also advocate for the Nigerians in diaspora. Nigeria is a very difficult place. Corruption is endemic. You cannot change Nigeria, but you can contribute.
I would like to disagree with, we cannot change Nigeria. We have to have some measure of hope here. We just have to have some measure of hope.
Yeah, exactly. My point is that the change can just be limited to some kind of space, but Nigeria as a whole, for me, is a far-fetched objective. It's idealistic to think that we can change this country. This is my humble opinion anyways, which is why I would rather concentrate on the small level where I have influence, where I feel I have got the opportunity to change things, and I will concentrate at that level. If you want to change Nigeria, you have to become the president of Nigeria. And even when you become the president of Nigeria, you still cannot do things as you want because of the influences. Yeah. There are people who call the shots, who will tell you, if you don't do it this way, be ready to leave that seat the next day. It's that bad. Changing this country is not something that can just happen overnight. There are a lot of interests at stake. So I will not aim at that point of changing the country. I would rather concentrate at the level where I have influence.
Agreed.
And work in that direction. So this is my message for those of you in the diaspora. As you think of how to contribute to development in Nigeria, think small, don't think so big. Think of areas where you can have and exercise influence. Thank you.
Zainab, we have some comments that I think you might want to zero in on.
I think that's very interesting, Austin. I think the change is gradual. You have to start from somewhere. Start small, and eventually, I think we're going to be able to make significant changes overall. Just quickly, I want to remind you guys that this session is being recorded. We are in Germany. We do need our data. So if you have some comments there that you think you want to be super private, you do not want to be discussed here, you can send us directly, and we'll get back to you.
I think just to send this on a positive note, I think change will come to Nigeria. I mean, the United States is 400 odd years old. Nigeria is just 60 years old. So yes, I agree why we cannot tackle the problem from top down. Each and every one of us have a role to play in making a change from our sphere of influence, as Austin said. I don't understand why we constantly have cases of money being looted or people having access to governmental funds and getting away with it. I would have thought that we would have checks and balances to at least close loopholes, but that isn't happening. It so happens that Nigeria, like the US, is run from a closed shop. There are certain people with resources, with power, with connections that seem to be calling the shots. But I think if each and every one of us begin to influence things from our sphere of influence, from where we sit, I think you begin to infiltrate the situation. So I don't think it's right to just sit back and say it can't be changed. Each and every one of us has a role to play into making a difference.
And Michelle, I just want to jump in and say that I totally agree with you. I slightly disagree with my friend Austin. In Germany, they say that the Hoffnung steps and lesson, which means hope died last.
Right.
And as long as there is a human hope, as long as we are still alive, change is possible. I spent the past 4 years as chairman in Germany, and after that, I moved on to the European scene for the last 4 years. And I'll be the most stupid human being on earth if I think that we cannot make any change in Nigeria and I still remain there. That is the truth of the matter. Now, let us just take a simple example. I remember that when I was the chairman of Nigerian Diaspora Organization in Germany, I was nominated into the presidential campaign organization of the former president, Goodluck Jonathan. And I've not basically said this in the public, but I can say that we are part of the group that insisted that due process must take place. And then we made our impact. It might be insignificant, very, very insignificant. But I think that the election went the way it went, and there's no bloodshed in Nigeria today, might actually play a role towards that direction. So it might be small, but it's a contribution, and that contribution is a process. Now, what I think we are going to be doing in the next, or what I will dedicate myself in the next month to come after I step down in November. In every country, it is the politics that set the rules. It is the policy that, or the politicians that set out how a country should be governed. If we are the diaspora and we are sitting comfortably here in our diasporan seat, and we think Nigeria will change, then we are dreaming. Yes, I agree in that case, Nigeria will not change. But if we decide to take the bull by the horn, now, I've listened to some Nigerian politicians. You can call them names if you want to, and I will actually understand the frustration of Nigerians in the diaspora. But if the governor of Kaduna State said that if the intellectual and intelligent people are too afraid to go into the politics, then they leave the politics for idiots.
That's right.
And the idiots will go there and make policy for us, and we cannot complain that the idiots are making idiotic policies, but because we have led politics to them. So what I'm trying to say is that it is time the Nigerians in diaspora begin to engage in political process in Nigeria. Yes, I agree with Austin in this direction. We must not take over the federal government at once. We must not go for the Senate seat at once. But if we start from our local government areas, our wards, these are where actually the majority of Nigerians are living, in our villages, in our wards, and begin to make a political, change there. If with all the things we've learned in Germany, in UK, in Italy, we try to go down to our local government areas. Now, in all honesty, with all the frustrations of the diaspora, which I understand, somebody would tell you that a senator in Abuja or the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Buhari, is doing that or that. I won't stand one way or the other to say this or that. But you don't even know who is your local government chairman. Right. You don't even know who is the senator representing your particular local government area. Charity, they say, begins at home. So I believe that the diaspora should begin to rethink how can we also get involved in making this policy in Nigeria. And like Austin said, yes, let us start small. Go to our local government areas, go to our wards, and begin to change the processes there. And I think if we begin to do that, we will not be there in the next 5 years, but I think I see a superpower Nigeria in 20 years. There's no two days about it. So I think I will agree with Michelle that all hope is not lost yet if we commit ourselves to making a change.
Ken, can I come in, Zainab? Is it okay to engage directly with the panelists? Okay, Ken, would you imagine coming back from Germany as a diasporan to involve in local politics, like in your ward, to become a councillor, for example? Would you imagine that happening? If it happens, would you imagine these politicians that have been there over the years, and that already have interest and agreement and so on and so forth, just folding their arms and watching you become their councillor, for example, or become the local government chairman and stuff like that?
You want me to ask? Austin, yes. The answer is yes. The answer is yes. I'll tell you. Call a similar symposium in the next 4 weeks, and I will give you my blueprint, or my blueprint, how that is going to be possible.
Okay.
For the past 4 years, I've been concerned like every other Nigerian, and I've been thinking about it. And I can tell you I have a blueprint in the process. And after I hand over as chairman of NIDO, because NIDO is apolitical, I will be a free citizen and I'll be making a proposal on how we can do that. If the answer is yes, it is possible.
Okay, that's beautiful. Thank you.
That's impressive. Thank you. I think Mrs. Iyare wants to contribute to this discussion. Mrs. Iyare, please, you have the ground.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, you can hear me. The issue about Nigeria is not what somebody can discuss even in 100 years. Nigeria has never been a country for every Nigerian. Nigeria has always been a country for very few individuals that have been exploiting the country since the colonial masters left us. And these few individuals, they have become so rich because of the oil we are having there that a change is practically impossible. Because Germans say if you want to make a change, you have to match a lot of people to make a change. You will take from people who have been exploiting for many years and give to the ones that don't have. And that change, a lot of people, blood is going to flow. And a lot of people, especially these people that have been enjoying the country, will never allow it. Because here, I agree with Austin Ejefo. If you have been in this country, in this great country called Germany, it is then you will realize what my father told me in the village. I'm from a village very close to Abo. My father told me and my brother, then I was 10 years old, he said, my boys, he raised a pen like this big. I still have them here in my office now in Keene. He said, with this big, my boys, you can move the mountains. You can move mountains in Lagos. Only you writing a letter, people will jump up. And what my father told me, it is here I am experiencing it in this country, in Germany. No matter who you are, whether you are black, you are red, you are white, you are yellow, you live here, you take a pen and complain, people will hear you. People will stand and say, injustice is not allowed. As Mr. Ejefo said, our justice is not functioning. In every country where democracy is functioning, is because the justice is functioning. The justice is the head of every democracy. People can say, okay, Donald Trump is doing anything he likes in America. That is true. But the justice is bremsing him. They are putting their legs on the brake and show him how the country should be. And these people in our country, we don't have them anymore because of corruption. They never believed in the nation, and they will never believe in the nation. Nigeria was once a great country. Nigeria was once a great country in the 70s. When I came here those days, even in the early 90s, I came here in 93. And that time, we were seeing Nigerians in Olympics as weightlifters, as javelin throwers. The Davidson brothers were beating the Americans in 400 meters relay. Our boys were performing in football. A lot of other kinds of sports. Today, you don't see them anymore. Because whoever has ruled that country never loved that country. They never saw the nation, that this nation called Nigeria should grow. And that is what we are experiencing today in Germany. In Germany, it's all about the nation Germany. When the politicians are talking, the first thing is the nation. Second thing is what the party wants. But in our country, it's the other way around. The nation does not count for them. Their pocket is what that counts, and the parties. So we have a lot of people there that our country has been sending out to universities. They become engineers, they become doctors, they become lawyers, they study all kinds of things. When they come back from university, they don't give them a job. They prefer to bring the foreigners to rule our country. If you are seeking for a job in Nigeria now, and Oyibo comes in, that job will be given to Oyibo. It will not be given to a Nigerian that owns the country, somebody born and brought up there. In Germany, they will never do it. Their people comes first. In every Western world, it's the same thing. So why? Because we are having people there that do not believe in themselves, that are ruling the country. They still have complex before foreigners. And whoever is dreaming that it can be changed, it is practically impossible, unless we have people like Tunde Ediagmo that will come back again. Such people, we don't have them anymore in Nigeria. Brigadier Tunde Ediagmo. If they have allowed him to rule for 4 years, I don't think you and I will be here today. Nigeria would have been another great country again. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you so much. That was very insightful. And there's this saying that says, time goes by so fast when you're having a good time, right? Unfortunately, we didn't have a lot of time on our corner, but just to round this session up, right? I just want to Austin real quick. You are a prime example of the Nigerian that was once in the diaspora that come back home. And I just want to ask you, it's just in 2 or 3, do you advise Nigerians presently in the diaspora to move back home?
Of course, with all pleasure, I would.
Great,
But then,
thank you so much.
Okay, should I add a bit of flesh to that?
Yes, please.
Yes, I would advise Nigerians in diaspora to come back home. Those who want to relocate like I did, you are most welcome, but don't be very ambitious. Have dreams, set objectives, but keep them within your sphere of influence, because this country is frustrating. If I tell you what I experienced at the university I was teaching, you will be shocked. As a lecturer, I stood against exam malpractice, and people in the system turned it against me because I was just about, changing something very small. Within my sphere of influence, it was that bad. So don't have very high hopes. Keep your expectations low. One person can make a difference. Keep that in mind within your sphere of influence. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So this has been a interesting session, guys. Thank you so much, Michelle. Thank you, Honorable Bandy, and thank you so much, Austin Obina. And I just want to round up this session with one of the comments I have in the comment section saying that we will try to do better in our little corners. We should demand for good governance. We should be aware, and we should make conscious efforts to ensure things are the right way and in the way we can bring about change. Thank you so much for honoring us with your presence and with that being said, we're going to round up this episode, and we are very thankful and we appreciate your presence and the information you've been able to pass on to us now. And we are going to move forward with our next session on our agenda, which I'm sure you guys do not want to miss. So please stay tuned, and thank you for tuning in.